Hey guys, tonight we begin with a gentle journey into one of the most quietly profound mysteries of our time. Evidence that suggests we may not be alone. This is not a story told in haste, nor one meant to shock or alarm. Instead, it is an invitation to slow down, to listen carefully, and to drift through a long-form exploration of 15 of the most convincing pieces of alien evidence. Evidence that has emerged not from rumour alone, but from instruments, professionals, and moments that science has not yet been able to fully explain. Over the course of tonight's documentary, we'll move calmly through military encounters captured by advanced sensors, radar echoes that behave in impossible ways, ancient knowledge that seems to arrive far too early in human history, and encounters, both personal and global, that leave behind patterns too consistent to ignore. We'll explore whispered accounts, forgotten logs, overlooked testimonies, and subtle connections that only become visible when everything is viewed together, slowly, patiently, and without fear. This is a story that unfolds gently. Each chapter builds upon the last, guiding you deeper into a landscape of quiet wonder and unanswered questions. And by the time we reach the end, a larger picture begins to form, one that suggests intention, observation, and perhaps a presence that has been here far longer than we ever imagined. So I invite you to stay with me until the very end. Let the full story reveal itself at its own unhurried pace. Before we settle in and begin our peaceful journey, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, only if what I share here truly resonates with you. Your support helps me create more of these videos, and if you feel like it, let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is. It's always fascinating to see the many corners of the world where we connect. Now dim the lights, make yourself comfortable, and let's ease into tonight's journey together as we explore what lies ahead. Chapter 1: Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Captured by Military Sensors. Our story begins not in the distant past nor in the realm of myth, but in the controlled airspace of modern militaries, places where every movement is tracked, logged, measured, and verified by layers of technology designed to leave little room for uncertainty. In the early 2000s, US Navy pilots conducting routine training exercises off the coast encountered something unexpected. These were not inexperienced observers, nor were they individuals prone to exaggeration. They were trained aviators, accustomed to identifying aircraft, weather phenomena, drones, and classified platforms at a glance. What they encountered defied all familiar categories. On radar screens, objects appeared suddenly at high altitude, sometimes above 80,000 feet, before descending rapidly to near sea level in seconds. Infrared sensors picked up heat signatures that didn't match conventional propulsion systems. There were no visible wings, no exhaust plumes, no signs of lift or thrust as we understand it. One pilot described seeing an object hovering over the ocean, its surface disturbed beneath it, as if something large were moving just below the waves. Another recalled attempting to intercept one of these objects, only to watch it mirror his movements, anticipating his turns before he made them, until it accelerated away at speeds that left his aircraft unable to follow. What makes these encounters particularly compelling is not just the eyewitness testimony, but the convergence of multiple sensor systems. Radar, infrared targeting pods, visual confirmation, and flight logs all recorded the same anomalies. These were not fleeting glimpses or single points of failure. They were layered detections reinforcing one another. In released footage, calm, grainy, almost unremarkable at first glance, we hear pilots speak with quiet disbelief as the objects accelerate instantaneously, shifting direction without slowing down, ignoring the aerodynamic constraints that govern every known aircraft. Behind the scenes, flight logs documented the encounters in precise language, times, altitudes, speeds. Data points that suggest something was operating with a level of control and energy efficiency far beyond anything publicly acknowledged. And then there are the stories that circulate quietly among defense insiders. Whispered claims suggest that what the public has seen is only a fraction of the available data. According to these accounts, additional sensor recordings, higher resolution radar tracks, multi-angle infrared captures, and extended flight paths were removed prior to public release. Not because they were inconclusive, but because they showed movement patterns that simply could not be reconciled with known physics. Patterns where objects appeared to accelerate without inertia, where sharp turns occurred at hypersonic speeds with no loss of velocity, where descent and ascent happened without sonic booms, heat buildup, or atmospheric disturbance. Some defense contractors, according to these quiet testimonies, were tasked with analyzing this data, not to identify adversary technology, but to determine whether the objects were even machines in the traditional sense at all. What lingers here is not panic, but calm astonishment. These encounters were not framed as threats. In many cases, the objects appeared indifferent to the pilots, present, observant, and then gone. No communication, no aggression, just presence. And perhaps that is what unsettles the most. If these phenomena were human-made, they would represent a technological leap so vast that it would reshape everything we know about propulsion, energy, and material science. And yet, no nation has claimed them. No program has been revealed. No parallel breakthroughs have emerged in civilian technology. As this chapter draws to a close, we are left with a quiet realization. Something was there. Something observed and recorded by some of the most advanced detection systems on Earth. Not imagined, not guessed. Detected. And as we move forward, we'll begin to see that this was not an isolated moment, but part of a much larger, repeating pattern. Chapter 2. Radar Echoes That Shouldn't Exist. As we move gently into our next chapter, we begin to explore another fascinating layer of this ongoing mystery. The strange and unexplainable radar echoes that have been recorded by air traffic control systems, military monitoring stations, and advanced NORAD-style tracking networks. These are moments where something appears, behaves, and vanishes in ways that defy everything we understand about flight and physics. Imagine a quiet control tower late at night, the hum of equipment mixing with the soft voices of controllers, eyes trained on glowing radar screens. Suddenly a dot appears, seemingly out of nowhere. No corresponding flight plan exists, no transponder is active, and yet the object is moving. Slowly at first, almost cautiously, then suddenly it accelerates beyond the capabilities of any known aircraft, vanishing in a blink to reappear miles away. These are not stories of fleeting lights in the sky. They are precise, tracked events, recorded by instruments built to capture every nuance of movement in the skies above and around us. Radar engineers, some of whom have spent decades monitoring airspace, describe moments when objects seem to split on radar, as if one entity became two or three, only to merge moments later and continue on a trajectory that makes no conventional sense. One former air traffic controller recounted an event where an object remained stationary for hours in restricted airspace, seemingly hovering effortlessly against wind currents that would have pushed any normal aircraft off course. Yet, as the hours passed, it would occasionally move, accelerating to extreme speeds in seconds, then returning to its previous position. On every single sensor, primary radar, secondary transponders, and infrared detection, there was evidence of something extraordinary. These anomalies are not limited to a single location or time period. NORAD-style tracking systems have, over decades, recorded thousands of similar phenomena, often filed quietly in reports that are never fully released to the public. Some reports describe objects appearing to teleport across the sky, entering and exiting monitored airspace in ways that leave no trace of conventional flight. Others note radar echoes that dissolve into the atmosphere, only to reappear elsewhere, sometimes in multiple locations at once. What adds to the intrigue is the behavior itself. These objects do not simply defy speed, they defy expectation. They move with purpose, as though guided by intelligence. Engineers who study radar reflections quietly admit that certain patterns cannot be explained by birds, drones, weather balloons, or malfunctioning equipment. Even the most conservative analysis struggles to account for acceleration without inertia, or directional changes without the forces required for conventional flight. There are also reports that are less often discussed, whispered among retired radar operators. These reports describe what some call shadow echoes, instances where a primary object splits into a secondary radar signature, mimicking the first, almost as if it were creating a decoy. In several cases, the duplicate echo vanished entirely, leaving only the original object, continuing along a path that seems almost choreographed. The engineers who witness these events are often left with a profound sense of unease. The data simply cannot be reconciled with the systems they have dedicated their careers to understanding. The story becomes even more intriguing when we consider the human element. Air traffic controllers, military pilots, and radar technicians alike speak in hushed tones about objects that appear to interact with aircraft, following them, pausing as if observing, and then suddenly leaving without warning. In some cases, commercial pilots have reported radar blips appearing simultaneously, with visual sightings, objects they could see with their own eyes, but that behaved unlike anything in their training. This chapter is not merely about extraordinary flight behavior. It is also about the quiet persistence of these phenomena. Over decades, patterns have emerged. Specific air corridors, remote regions, and even areas near sensitive military installations show repeated appearances. The echoes are not random. They are part of a larger, subtle structure of movement that hints at observation, calculation, and perhaps intent. We can also consider the technical side in simple terms. Radar relies on sending pulses of radio waves and measuring their reflection from objects. A small malfunction or anomaly might produce a ghost image on a screen, but these phenomena are captured across multiple independent systems simultaneously. Visual confirmation, radar, and infrared all align. That convergence strengthens the credibility of the events beyond a simple glitch. It is a quiet, persistent puzzle, the kind that lingers in the mind long after the lights of the control tower dim and the airspace returns to normal, as we imagine ourselves floating in the calm night sky, watching these radar echoes dance, accelerate, and vanish. We sense the vastness of the unknown. It is a universe of hidden movement, subtle intelligence, and astonishingly advanced behavior, all unfolding above us, often unnoticed, yet quietly documented in systems designed to leave no detail unobserved. There is also the profound human element, the quiet astonishment, the disciplined curiosity, and the sense of responsibility among those who witness such anomalies. They do not react with fear, but with careful observation, precise documentation, and a recognition that something truly remarkable is occurring. Something that challenges the very boundaries of our understanding, yet arrives with perfect, unassuming calm. And so, as this chapter comes to a gentle close, we leave the radar screens glowing softly in the night, the mysterious echoes of unknown objects lingering like whispers in the sky. These are phenomena that quietly insist on our attention, demanding patience and contemplation rather than hurried conclusions. They're a subtle invitation to look closer, to notice patterns where before we saw only emptiness, and to remain open to the possibility that the skies above us are home to movements that do not belong to this world, yet are undeniably real. Chapter 3: UFOs that interfere with nuclear weapon systems. Tonight, we move deeper into the quieter, yet perhaps most profound mysteries of the modern age. The cases in which unidentified aerial phenomena have appeared around nuclear weapon systems. These are events that are both startling and subtle, carefully documented yet rarely discussed in mainstream channels, incidents that suggest not just observation, but an astonishing interaction with some of humanity's most guarded technology. Imagine the hushed corridors of a missile silo deep underground. The air is cool and heavy, the hum of machinery constant, the lights dim to a steady glow. Trained personnel monitor control panels with precision, each lever and screen indicating the readiness of weapons designed to safeguard nations. And then, without warning, anomalies begin to occur. Systems designed to operate with unyielding reliability suddenly experience glitches, flashes on consoles, unexpected resets, and equipment behavior that engineers can find no mechanical explanation for. In the early 1960s, and again during the 1970s, multiple reports emerged of UFO sightings over missile silos in both the United States and parts of Europe. Witnesses described glowing spheres hovering near launch facilities, moving silently, and in some cases appearing to scan the area in a manner almost deliberate. The most striking aspect of these events was not simply the sighting itself, but what followed. Weapons systems temporarily became inoperable. Missiles could not be armed. Computers would reboot inexplicably, and communication lines experienced unusual static or complete silence. One retired Air Force officer recounted a night in which multiple missile silos across a single region simultaneously experienced system anomalies. Lights flickered, consoles reset, and in several cases interlocks prevented launches that were otherwise fully armed and ready. The objects observed above appeared undisturbed by human activity, yet the effect on the system suggested a level of control that went far beyond mere coincidence. Engineers who later examined the incidents were perplexed. Electrical systems, computer circuits, and mechanical interlocks were all functioning within normal parameters, yet the anomalies persisted. Investigators could not identify any natural electromagnetic interference or environmental factor that would explain the sudden resets. What remained, quietly, was a record of objects whose presence directly coincided with the temporary neutralization of some of the most advanced weapons ever created by humankind. Stories of similar events began to accumulate. In one case, multiple witnesses at a naval facility described seeing a large, cigar-shaped object hovering over a missile testing site. Crew members reported that their guidance systems were temporarily disabled, radars registered interference, and a nearby control console displayed erratic readings that were traced to no source. No one was harmed, yet the implications were profound. These objects were capable of affecting machines with precision, suggesting a form of influence or manipulation far beyond our technology. Whispered reports suggest that some of these incidents were even more dramatic than publicly revealed. According to quiet testimonies from defense contractors and retired personnel, certain missile silos experienced simultaneous system resets across multiple sites, a coordination that could not have been caused by electrical surges, software errors, or random technical failure. In some cases, these resets lasted just long enough to prevent launch, then ceased, as if the systems were being tested, observed, or even controlled by an unseen hand. Consider the implications of this carefully. these are not simple sightings of lights in the sky. These are instances in which the unknown presence interacts with human technology at the highest levels. They suggest awareness, intelligence, and an ability to act with purpose, yet without aggression. There is no evidence that these objects fired weapons or caused harm. Instead, their influence seems measured, deliberate, almost as if the very presence of advanced intelligence is being demonstrated quietly, almost benevolently, but undeniably. Even more fascinating are the reports of objects that were described as observing nuclear test sites during periods of testing. Accounts suggest that metallic spheres or disks would hover silently above experimental detonations, moving against wind and weather patterns effortlessly, unaffected by turbulence or blast shockwaves. Some technicians observed the objects in infrared cameras, noting heat signatures that remained constant despite proximity to tremendous energy releases. These sightings suggest not just surveillance, but resilience to forces that would destroy any known human-made craft. Scientists and analysts have attempted to explain these events in conventional terms: rare atmospheric phenomena, magnetic anomalies, or misread instrumentation. Yet, when the testimonies, system logs, radar readings, and multiple independent witness reports are combined, the narrative becomes far more compelling. Across decades, in separate countries, and in highly secure military contexts, unexplained objects repeatedly appear in connection with nuclear technology. And there is the most subtle aspect of all, the silence that follows. Unlike conventional accidents or technical failures, which are investigated and resolved with documentation and press releases, these incidents were often quietly filed away, with reports classified, witnesses sworn to secrecy, and anomalies left unpublicized. This leaves us with scattered but consistent accounts, like pieces of a quiet mosaic that reveal a pattern only to those willing to observe patiently over time. As we close this chapter, imagine yourself walking slowly through a missile control room at night, the hum of machinery filling the air, the lights casting soft shadows on polished floors, and just outside the window a quiet, unearthly presence hovering. It does nothing violent, it does not alarm, yet it demonstrates capability and intelligence in ways that we are only beginning to comprehend. It is a presence that is both extraordinary and calm, demanding attention without forcing it, leaving the observer with awe, wonder, and a quiet, lingering question: who or what is watching? Chapter 4: Ancient astronomical knowledge that appeared too early. As we move forward, let us drift into a quieter, more reflective corner of this mystery. Tonight we turn our attention to the distant past, to civilizations that arose thousands of years ago, long before modern technology, yet left behind evidence that suggests a remarkable understanding of the heavens. Knowledge that seems far ahead of its time. These ancient structures, records, and artifacts hint at a subtle, persistent observation of the stars, and perhaps even contact with intelligence beyond our world. Picture the desert plains of Egypt at dusk. The sands glow softly in the fading light, the pyramids casting long shadows. Their edges are perfectly aligned with cardinal directions, their layout mirroring constellations with uncanny precision. Scholars have studied the Great Pyramid of Giza for centuries. They have marveled at the alignment of its shaft with the stars of Orion and Sirius, as if the builders intended to map the heavens onto Earth itself. The precision is astonishing, measurements accurate to fractions of a degree, accomplished without telescopes, modern mathematics, or advanced instruments as we know them today. Similar phenomena appear across the globe. In the highlands of Peru, the Nazca lines stretch for miles, depicting animals, humans, and geometric shapes. Some of these lines are so large they can only be fully appreciated from high above. leading some to wonder whether the creators possessed knowledge or guidance that allowed them to construct with such aerial awareness long before human flight. There are also records of star maps, preserved in temples and ancient scrolls, that depict celestial bodies we know today, but with a curious twist. Some maps show stars, planets, and even astronomical phenomena that, based on modern science, would not have been visible from Earth at the time the maps were created. Ancient astronomers seem to have recorded positions of planets with incredible accuracy, noted events such as eclipses centuries in advance, and even referenced objects that are invisible without telescopic aid. How could civilizations so long ago achieve such knowledge without the instruments or methods that would normally be required? Some researchers and historians have quietly suggested that these precise alignments and advanced observations may indicate contact with beings possessing knowledge beyond human capability. There are stories, whispered into academic circles and archaeological expeditions, of tablets and artifacts describing visitors from the sky, beings who came to teach, guide, or at least observe. These stories are often dismissed as myth, yet when combined with the precision of astronomical records, they form an intriguing puzzle. Consider the megalithic structures of Stonehenge, with its massive stones positioned to mark the solstices, lunar cycles, and subtle planetary alignments. It is a calendar carved in stone, a system that tracks time and the movements of celestial bodies with incredible accuracy. Engineers and astronomers studying Stonehenge note that even today, reproducing its alignments with such precision would be an extraordinary feat. And yet, here it stands, thousands of years old, silent, still pointing toward the heavens as if it were meant to be a message or a guide. And then there are the accounts of ancient texts from various civilizations, Sumerian, Mayan, Egyptian, and even some in Asia, that describe stars, comets, and lights in the sky, in terms that are surprisingly technical. Certain passages in Sumerian tablets reference celestial mechanics, describe orbital patterns, and in some cases, name objects with precision that has led modern scholars to pause and wonder. These texts are not vague. They contain numerical data, angles, and measurements that could have only been obtained through careful observation, or guidance from someone or something with superior knowledge. One of the most compelling aspects is that these examples are spread across the world, across continents and cultures that had no contact with each other. There is an uncanny similarity in the depiction of celestial events and objects. The pyramids of Egypt align with Orion, while similar star-based alignments appear in Central America. Temples in Asia demonstrate knowledge of solstices and eclipses. Even in North America, certain ancient mounds are arranged to track lunar cycles. How could this consistency exist without some shared source of information? Some researchers theorize that ancient civilizations may have been taught by visitors from elsewhere, beings who observed Earth from afar, who guided early humans in ways that allowed them to build, measure, and record with astonishing accuracy. There are whispered accounts of hieroglyphs and carvings depicting sky beings, with elongated heads, flowing robes, and radiant light, sometimes shown descending from discs or circular objects in the sky. Whether these are myth, symbolic representation, or actual documentation, they suggest a consistent theme: beings from the skies influencing knowledge on Earth. Another element to consider is the star maps themselves. Certain maps appear to reference stars that no longer exist, or alignments that would have occurred tens of thousands of years ago, long before human civilization could plausibly have recorded them. Some argue that these maps indicate an observation of the heavens that predates us, or guidance from those who had a far longer perspective on the universe. Could it be that these ancient astronomers were observing things that are now invisible, or were being shown what to observe by entities who have knowledge beyond our own? As we drift through this ancient landscape, it's important to notice the patterns emerging. Across continents, across millennia, humans have been compelled to record, measure and honour the heavens, and in each case we find subtle, consistent indications that there is more than just human curiosity at play. There is precision, there is intentionality, and there is perhaps, quietly, a guiding presence. Imagine standing beneath the shadow of a pyramid at sunset, feeling the weight of centuries, and looking up to see the stars aligned as they were millennia ago. The precision is almost hypnotic, the sense of order and observation calming yet profound. It whispers of intelligence that transcends time and space, of knowledge that perhaps originated not on Earth, and of a subtle connection between humanity and something far older, far wiser. These ancient markers are silent witnesses. They do not speak loudly, but their patterns endure. They invite reflection, observation, and a quiet sense of wonder. They suggest that from the earliest days of human history we were being observed, guided, or perhaps even subtly taught in ways that we're only beginning to understand. And as we close this chapter, it becomes clear. The evidence is not just in the sky or in the future. It has always been here, quietly embedded in our past, waiting for those who are willing to look slowly, carefully, and with an open mind. Chapter 5. The non-human materials recovered from crash sites. As we move forward tonight, let us enter the quiet, almost imperceptible world of recovered materials, objects that defy explanation, metals and alloys that appear engineered in ways beyond human capability, and fragments that hint at technologies we can barely imagine. This chapter invites you to slow your breathing, to let your mind drift gently through accounts that blend science, mystery and wonder as we explore evidence quietly documented and often hidden from public view. Imagine a remote desert, the sun dipping low on the horizon, sand and rock stretching for miles. In such isolated places, accidents or encounters have allegedly occurred, leaving behind remnants that are unlike anything manufactured on Earth. These are not simple scraps of metal or broken machinery. Witnesses describe materials that shimmer with an otherworldly quality, whose surfaces shift subtly in response to pressure, temperature, or even the presence of light. In some of the earliest documented cases, recovered alloys contained combinations of metals that should be impossible to fuse at the temperatures achieved with contemporary furnaces. Samples were sent to laboratories, often under strict secrecy, and tested with spectrometry, electron microscopes, and other advanced analytical tools. Scientists quietly noted that some of these materials would return to their original shape after being bent or stressed, as if possessing a memory embedded at the molecular level. A thin fragment of metal could be folded multiple times, yet under examination, the crystal structure rearranged itself, healing any deformation without external intervention. Accounts from lab technicians, many of whom have chosen anonymity, speak in hushed tones of experiments that produced results they could scarcely believe. Some materials, when heated or cooled, exhibited properties that contradicted standard metallurgy, changes in density, unusual conductivity, and structural behaviors that seemed adaptive rather than fixed. There were even reports of materials whose surfaces appeared to absorb energy from their environment, changing color or texture subtly when exposed to light, sound, or electromagnetic fields. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of these recovered fragments is that they are not always isolated incidents. Over the decades, from deserts in the southwestern United States to remote fields in Europe and beyond, Multiple reports describe objects that, after impact, leave behind remnants exhibiting similar anomalies. While some fragments may be explained away as experimental alloys or advanced military composites, many bear signatures that are inconsistent with any known human engineering of the time. One technician described handling a thin metallic sheet that seemed impossibly light, yet remarkably strong. When pressure was applied, the material flexed without creasing, and yet returned to its original form almost instantly. Microscopic examination revealed a lattice structure unlike anything in terrestrial metallurgy, as if designed at a scale and precision far beyond what even modern nanotechnology could achieve. These materials challenge not only expectations of composition, but also of function, hinting at engineering principles unfamiliar to current science. Stories of recovered materials often come with equally intriguing eyewitness accounts. Witnesses at crash sites recall seeing objects shaped with smooth flowing geometry, discs, spheres, elongated forms, with no visible seams or rivets. Some describe surfaces that appear to shimmer or shift in subtle patterns, reflecting the light in ways that made it difficult to determine curvature or thickness. In a few reports, fragments emitted low-frequency hums or soft vibrations, imperceptible at first, yet detectable over time. This gentle resonance added another layer of mystery, suggesting properties that interact with the environment in ways that are not yet fully understood. In certain instances, materials recovered were combined with components that seemed technological yet defied classification. Embedded circuits, energy-emitting surfaces, and extremely fine wiring appeared in fragments that were lighter and more flexible than any human-made counterpart. Scientists conducting analysis often noted that these elements seemed integrated into the material itself, rather than simply attached, implying a level of fabrication and purpose that challenged conventional engineering. There are even whispers of experimental testing that produced results both subtle and astonishing. In controlled laboratory environments, fragments exposed to strong electromagnetic fields or temperature extremes sometimes responded in ways that seemed intentional. They would shift, reorient, or even emit faint glows, behaviors that hinted at internal structures designed to interact with energy or information in ways far beyond current human capability. Some researchers quietly speculated that these materials were not simply passive, but active components of a larger technology, materials that were alive in a sense, or at least responsive. It is important to notice the consistent pattern across these events. The recovered materials are rarely found in isolation. They are almost always accompanied by accounts of unusual flight behavior, rapid disappearance, or shapes that defy aerodynamics. This link suggests that the materials and the objects themselves are part of a technology coherent in both function and design. A technology that does not match any human standard but seems consistent across multiple reports and decades. Even the most skeptical scientists, those not predisposed to belief, admit that these materials pose questions that cannot be dismissed lightly. How can a simple sheet of metal bend, flex, and repair itself without external intervention? How can alloys maintain strength under conditions that would destroy conventional metals? How can components remain undamaged at extreme velocities, temperatures, or pressures, as would occur in reported encounters? These questions linger in laboratories, quietly challenging human understanding. And yet, there is a subtle beauty in these mysteries. There is a calm fascination in observing materials that seem to embody principles of intelligence, adaptability, and resilience. The shards of these encounters are silent teachers, hinting at possibilities, inviting contemplation, and inspiring awe. They remind us that the universe is far wider than our immediate experience, that the limits of human technology are only a fraction of what may exist, and that there may be intelligence observing, guiding, or interacting with our world in ways we are only beginning to detect. As we drift to the close of this chapter, imagine holding a fragment in your hands. It is smooth, impossibly light, yet strong. It shifts ever so slightly as you move it, reflecting the ambient light in subtle shifting patterns. You can feel, almost imperceptibly, the intelligence embedded in its form, the silent history of its creation. And as you set it down, the realization settles softly. There's more to our world than we can see. There are materials, technology, and perhaps life that exist alongside us, quietly, patiently, waiting for those who are willing to look, observe, and wonder. Chapter 6: Astronaut Encounters That Never Made the Broadcast. Tonight, as we continue our quiet journey, let us rise above Earth for a moment and drift gently into the infinite expanse of space. Imagine the serene, silent view of our planet from orbit, the deep blues of the oceans, the soft swirls of clouds, and the muted rolling greens and browns of the continents below. Here, in this delicate vantage point, some of the most fascinating and often overlooked encounters with the unknown have quietly occurred, encounters reported by astronauts, cosmonauts, and space engineers who, in their precise and disciplined observations, have glimpsed phenomena that challenge our understanding of the universe. For decades, space agencies around the world have maintained rigorous protocols, ensuring every observation in orbit is recorded, logged, and analysed. Yet, amid the meticulous documentation, there exist accounts that never reached public attention, whispers of encounters that remain classified or quietly dismissed. Many astronauts have spoken indirectly of seeing strange objects near Earth or in deep orbit, objects moving with purpose, sometimes stationary, sometimes appearing to monitor the spacecraft, but always behaving in ways inconsistent with human-made technology. Consider the vastness of space itself. An object that could accelerate, decelerate, or change direction in orbit without visible propulsion is already remarkable. Yet several reports describe exactly this. One astronaut, during a mission in low Earth orbit, observed a cluster of glowing objects moving in perfect synchronization, appearing as if they were aware of the spacecraft's position. When the astronaut attempted to photograph them, the objects vanished almost instantly, leaving no trace in the recorded data. Later analysis of the images and telemetry revealed subtle anomalies in the tracking logs, traces of something moving at incredible speeds, faster than any human-made satellite could achieve, and yet undetectable by standard tracking systems once it disappeared from view. Other accounts describe objects approaching spacecraft, maintaining precise distances and yet remaining perfectly still relative to the crew. There are whispers of objects performing maneuvers that would require impossible levels of acceleration and deceleration. One cosmonaut recounted seeing a bright metallic object hovering silently in orbit while performing routine repairs on a space station. It appeared to observe, almost patiently, and then, when the crew looked away or diverted attention, it vanished. The cosmonaut noted that the object did not behave like a satellite or debris. It moved with purpose, intelligence, and seemingly independent control. There are also reports of objects appearing near spacewalks. In several instances, astronauts performing extravehicular activity describe seeing objects with reflective surfaces gliding alongside them, maintaining parallel courses for several minutes. These objects exhibited smooth, controlled motion, unlike any debris that could be drifting in orbit. In some cases, astronauts describe them as spheres or disks, smooth and featureless, yet with an almost imperceptible glow, catching the light of the sun in ways that were unlike any material known to human science. Even more intriguing are the quiet rumours of off-the-record radio chatter during missions. Some astronauts have hinted at channels of communication never officially logged, where sightings of unusual objects were reported to mission control privately. These reports were never archived, and in some cases they were deliberately omitted from public transcripts. Crew members have spoken, often years later, of the curious persistence of these objects. They seem to be aware of the spacecraft, maintaining proximity without interference, and departing only when observed too closely. One of the most famous examples, though never fully broadcast, involves a shuttle mission in the 1990s. According to anonymous testimonies, the crew encountered a series of bright lights moving in formation below the orbital path of the shuttle. The lights mirrored the shuttle's movements for hours, sometimes accelerating to distances that defied human orbital mechanics. The shuttle's cameras captured only intermittent flashes, yet the crew described visual confirmation of coordinated motion. Mission logs reportedly noted unidentified objects exhibiting coordinated behaviour before the report was classified and quietly removed from public archives. These encounters are particularly fascinating because they span decades and multiple space programs. Russian cosmonauts, European astronauts, and NASA crews have all independently reported seeing anomalies that suggest intelligent design. These are not hallucinations, optical illusions, or camera artifacts. They're observations by highly trained professionals, made with meticulous documentation, precise instruments, and controlled conditions. And yet, for reasons that remain quietly acknowledged, these events rarely make the official record available to the public. Consider the implications. In the emptiness of space, free from atmospheric drag, wind, or other terrestrial forces, these objects appear to move with astonishing precision. They accelerate, decelerate, and maneuver in ways that are physically impossible by human standards. They do so without leaving trails, propulsion signatures, or heat patterns that would normally be expected. It is as if they are governed by principles of physics we do not yet fully understand. Even the silence surrounding these events is compelling. Astronauts often speak of a calm, almost meditative quality during encounters. There is no sense of aggression, no threat. Rather, a quiet curiosity seems to exist in the behaviour of these objects. Observers describe a subtle, almost philosophical experience, being in the presence of something intelligent, advanced, and utterly patient, observing our spacecraft and our movements without interference, yet revealing through its actions that it is aware of our presence. Some speculate that these objects are monitoring human technological progress, appearing when humanity reaches new thresholds in space exploration. Others suggest that these phenomena are remnants or visitors from other worlds, silently surveying life on Earth. Whatever the interpretation, the accounts converge on a few key truths. The objects exist, they exhibit intelligence, and they behave in ways that are consistent across decades and across crews, even when no communication or contact is established. As we imagine floating gently above Earth in the stillness of space, gazing down at the delicate curve of our planet, it becomes easy to understand why astronauts describe these encounters as humbling. The objects are patient, precise, and deliberate. They move with a quiet grace, defying explanation, yet leaving no sense of fear. It is a presence that is calming, almost meditative, yet profoundly awe-inspiring. And as we drift further into this quiet understanding, we begin to perceive a pattern. There is intelligence in the cosmos, and it has been observing silently and carefully as humanity reaches for the stars. Chapter 7: Repeated sightings at the same global hotspots. Tonight, we gently turn our attention to the quiet patterns that emerge when we look not just at individual sightings, but at locations across the globe where encounters have repeatedly occurred over decades, even centuries. These are places that seem to draw the unknown, locations that appear over and over in the records of witnesses, pilots, civilians, and scientists alike. In some way, these hotspots quietly suggest intentionality, observation, and perhaps a subtle connection to our world that extends far beyond our comprehension. Picture, if you will, a remote countryside under a deep indigo sky, the soft hum of nocturnal life in the background, and suddenly, a glowing object appearing, hovering silently above fields or forested hills. This scenario has repeated itself in countless locations over the decades, from the deserts of New Mexico to the forests of Northern Europe, from the coastal stretches of South America to the plains of Central Asia. Certain areas appear to be magnetically aligned with the unknown. It is as if these regions themselves hold a quiet significance, drawing objects that defy conventional explanation. One of the most studied of these areas is the American Southwest near Roswell, New Mexico. While much has been said about the 1947 incident, fewer people know that the surrounding region has seen repeated reports of unusual aerial activity over decades. Locals speak of glowing orbs hovering silently over mesas, lights moving in formations that seem choreographed, and objects that suddenly vanish into the night sky without trace. Ranchers, military personnel, and pilots alike have reported seeing the same phenomenon, often independently over years, even generations. In Europe, the forests of Belgium became a quiet focal point in the 1980s. Multiple reports documented triangular-shaped craft moving in formation, silent and deliberate, their lights appearing and disappearing in patterns that seemed intentional. What makes these sightings remarkable is not merely the number of reports, but the consistency of description. Witnesses who had no knowledge of each other's accounts described nearly identical shapes, movements, and even interactions with the landscape, as if these objects followed an underlying rule or intelligence. Similarly, in South America, the skies above Chile's Atacama Desert have long been a center of attention. Pilots flying commercial and private aircraft report sudden, inexplicable encounters with glowing objects that rise and fall in the night sky without sound or apparent propulsion. Scientists in observatories occasionally detect anomalies on their instruments, readings that correspond with eyewitness accounts, but cannot be explained by conventional astronomy. Over decades, the pattern persists, quietly suggesting that these locations hold significance beyond mere geography. Interestingly, repeated sightings are not limited to regions with sparse populations. Some highly populated areas, such as major cities in the United States, Japan, and Brazil, also report anomalous activity. Observers note hovering lights, rapid acceleration, or unusual aerial formations that vanish in moments. In certain cases, commercial airline pilots have reported near collisions with objects that appear in the same flight corridors repeatedly, yet these encounters are resolved quietly, without official notice, leaving only internal logs and personal testimony as evidence. A striking aspect of these global hotspots is the alignment of reports across generations. In some regions, indigenous communities have stories passed down for centuries describing lights in the sky, beings from above, and objects descending silently to observe or interact. These oral traditions align curiously with modern sightings, suggesting a continuity of observation that extends far beyond the relatively recent era of aviation or radar technology. The consistency is remarkable, as if the phenomenon has maintained its presence, quietly observing humanity over centuries. Scientists and researchers studying these patterns often note subtle but telling features. Objects observed repeatedly in the same areas demonstrate advanced capabilities, instantaneous acceleration, precise hovering, movement against strong winds, and the ability to disappear without trace. In some reports, multiple objects operate in perfect coordination, maintaining formation as if guided by intelligence. Radar and sensor data, when available, confirm movements that exceed known technological limits, reinforcing the credibility of eyewitness accounts. Even more intriguing are accounts suggesting that these hotspots may not be random, but linked to geography, energy fields, or other subtle planetary features. Some researchers hypothesize that ley lines, magnetic anomalies, or high strangeness zones might influence where these objects appear. In certain cases, scientists have noticed that areas with repeated sightings often coincide with locations of unusual mineral formations, underground caverns, or other natural phenomena that may somehow attract attention. Whether this is a physical mechanism or an observational preference is unclear, but the correlation cannot be dismissed. Eyewitness accounts add depth and vividness to these patterns. Farmers, hikers, and pilots consistently describe similar experiences: a quiet sense of being observed, a feeling that the objects are aware of human presence, and movements that are deliberate rather than random. Lights hover silently, sometimes descending to treetops or the water's surface, then rising again without creating turbulence. Triangular or spherical shapes are commonly reported, with surfaces that appear reflective, metallic, or even translucent, catching moonlight in ethereal patterns. Observers often describe a deep sense of calm during these encounters, as though the objects are not threatening, merely curious. Remarkably, some of these hotspots also feature objects that seem to interact with local technology. In certain European forests, radar anomalies coincide with visual sightings, as if the object's presence interfered with instruments. In South America, ranchers report radios and electrical devices momentarily failing when lights appear overhead. These repeated interactions over multiple decades suggest that there is more than coincidence at play. There are also documented cases of coordinated research efforts in response to repeated sightings. Amateur astronomers, independent researchers, and even government agencies have quietly monitored these hotspots, noting patterns in timing, frequency, and behavior. While skepticism and conventional explanations are often offered, weather balloons, aircraft, meteors, there is a recurring acknowledgement that some encounters defy all explanation. Objects accelerate without inertia, maintain positions against gravity, and sometimes disappear instantly, leaving no trace. As we drift gently across these regions, it is impossible not to notice the subtle pattern emerging. These objects appear at specific locations with consistency across decades and continents. They move with purpose, exhibit intelligence, and interact with both the environment and human observers. The repetition suggests observation, planning, or monitoring, and perhaps even a deeper hidden intention that quietly unfolds over time. We can imagine ourselves walking beneath the night sky in one of these hotspots, the quiet hum of nature surrounding us. A soft light appears in the distance, hovering just above the trees. It moves deliberately, almost patiently, as if waiting for observation. A moment passes and it vanishes, leaving only the sense of its presence lingering in the air. This scene is repeated across the globe, quietly, persistently, in deserts, forests, mountains, and coastal plains, forming a subtle, continuous pattern that quietly whispers of intelligence, design, and observation far beyond our current understanding. And as this chapter comes to a gentle close, we recognize that these hotspots are more than random locations. They are windows into a larger phenomenon, They show us repetition, consistency, and purpose. They hint at a presence that has observed our planet for decades, perhaps centuries, and that continues to operate quietly, without interference, yet in ways that cannot be ignored by those who are attentive, patient, and open to what lies just beyond our normal perception. Chapter 8. Objects that move from air to sea without slowing. Tonight, let us drift softly across the boundary where the sky meets the ocean, into a mysterious realm where the air is cool and the water stretches infinitely below. Here, countless observers have reported phenomena that quietly defy the rules of physics as we know them. Imagine a perfectly still night over the ocean, the surface of the water reflecting moonlight, the gentle sound of waves lapping against the hull of a ship. Then, a light appears in the sky, brilliant, silent, and deliberate. It descends, moving smoothly toward the water, not slowing as any human-made object would. There is no splash, no ripple beyond what seems natural. The object glides effortlessly from air into sea, as if the distinction between elements is irrelevant. These reports are not limited to folklore or anecdote. They are documented by naval officers, ship captains, and pilots over decades. In many cases, the objects are recorded by radar, sonar, and visual observation simultaneously, providing multiple layers of evidence that corroborate the sightings. Radar operators note sudden appearances, precise movements, and the seamless transition from air to water. Sonar sometimes detects the object below the surface, moving with incredible speed, leaving no wake or disturbance that would normally accompany an underwater vehicle travelling at such velocity. One particularly compelling account comes from a US Navy officer stationed aboard an aircraft carrier in the 1980s. While performing routine manoeuvres at night, the crew observed a glowing object hovering over the ocean, seemingly scanning the waters below. Without warning, the object accelerated downward, disappearing beneath the waves with a motion that should have created turbulence or splashing. Radar confirmed the descent, and sonar briefly picked up a fast-moving contact underwater, yet the object emerged from the sea moments later, returning to the air without slowing or losing velocity. The crew was left astonished, unsure whether they had witnessed technology beyond human capability or something entirely unearthly. In addition to naval reports, commercial pilots have occasionally documented similar encounters over open seas. Pilots describe bright, round or disc-shaped objects that descend from cruising altitude to just above the water, maintaining perfect control, then disappearing into the horizon at incredible speed. These movements are consistent across independent accounts and in some cases corroborated by multiple witnesses on the same flight. The objects appear to maneuver with awareness, responding to human activity, yet never exhibiting aggression. Scientists and analysts studying these events often point out the sheer improbability of such phenomena. Conventional aircraft slow significantly when entering water due to drag and resistance, and submarines require time to accelerate underwater. Yet these objects perform transitions instantaneously, maintaining velocity, control, and trajectory without evidence of propulsion or disturbance. The consistency of behavior across multiple sightings, decades, and oceans suggests more than coincidence. It implies a technology or intelligence capable of overcoming physical limitations. Eyewitness accounts often describe subtle, almost surreal qualities of these objects. Their surfaces shimmer or reflect light in unusual ways, sometimes appearing metallic, other times translucent. The motion is smooth and deliberate, unlike any mechanical vehicle. Crews report a profound sense of calm during these encounters. No alarms, no explosions, just the quiet observation of something extraordinary. Some even note that time seems to slow during the event, as if consciousness itself bends slightly to accommodate the incredible movement. One remarkable account involves a research submarine off the coast of Chile. Scientists conducting deep-sea exploration observed a bright light descending from above, entering the water with precision, and then moving alongside the submarine at extreme speed. The object emitted a faint, almost imperceptible vibration in the surrounding water, suggesting interaction without contact. The crew tried to follow its path with sonar and visual observation, but the object accelerated away effortlessly, emerging into the air beyond their observation range within seconds. The patterns of movement suggested intelligence and intentionality, as if the object were guiding its trajectory according to a plan unknown to observers. What makes these encounters even more fascinating is their repeated occurrence in certain regions, forming aquatic hotspots similar to those on land. The waters off the coasts of California, Chile, the North Atlantic, and parts of the Mediterranean have all been noted for recurrent sightings. Each location shares common elements: deep waters, remote expanses, and periods of minimal human activity. It is as if these regions provide both observation points and operational space for phenomena that can traverse air and sea with perfect ease. Historical accounts also hint at the continuity of these events. Sailors from centuries past describe mysterious lights over the oceans, sometimes entering the water, other times rising from the depths. They spoke of shapes that glowed without flame, moved silently, and behaved with apparent intelligence. While such stories were often relegated to folklore, when considered alongside modern radar, sonar, and pilot reports, a pattern emerges: a persistent presence, quietly interacting with the oceans and our awareness over generations. In some cases, there are reports suggesting communication or recognition. Naval crews have noted that when objects move near vessels, instruments occasionally experience anomalies, compasses fluctuate, radios emit interference, and navigational systems display unexplained readings. These occurrences are brief, often resolved as quickly as they appear, yet they suggest a level of interaction that cannot be dismissed as coincidence. The objects seem to observe and respond, yet do so without confrontation, maintaining an almost serene detachment. The implications of these accounts are profound. Objects capable of moving seamlessly from air to water, maintaining velocity, trajectory, and control, imply a mastery of forces that humanity has yet to achieve. They challenge our understanding of physics, fluid dynamics, and propulsion. And when these objects appear repeatedly in specific locations, observed independently by multiple credible witnesses, we're confronted with the undeniable possibility that intelligent design or technology far beyond our own exists alongside us. Imagine for a moment standing at the edge of a quiet ocean, the waves soft beneath the moonlight, and seeing a bright shape descend from the sky, gliding effortlessly into the water, then rising again into the night. The event is silent, graceful, almost meditative. You sense intelligence, precision, and awareness. The phenomenon leaves behind no trace, no disruption, yet the impression lingers. There is something here, observing, capable, and patient. It is a reminder that the world around us contains mysteries both subtle and profound, waiting for those who observe with calm attention and open minds. As this chapter draws to a close, we recognize the quiet yet consistent pattern. These objects appear across oceans, across decades, and across continents, performing maneuvers that defy conventional physics, yet always with a serene, deliberate presence. They invite reflection, curiosity, and wonder, and remind us that our planet is not merely a home, but also a stage for phenomena that challenge our understanding, enrich our imagination, and quietly demand our attention. Chapter 9: Encounters reported by commercial pilots and air crews. Tonight, let us drift gently into the quieter corridors of our skies, where the ordinary hum of commercial aviation sometimes intersects with the extraordinary. Picture a vast expanse of blue, or the dark velvet of night, stretching as far as the eye can see, punctuated by the subtle blinking of navigation lights and the steady glow of instrument panels inside a cockpit. It is here, in the controlled yet dynamic environment of the skies, that many of the most compelling and credible sightings occur. Accounts from pilots and air crews who, by the very nature of their profession, are trained observers, meticulous in detail and deeply aware of the mechanics of flight. Commercial pilots, unlike casual eyewitnesses, operate within strict procedures and are trained to identify and categorize every anomaly in the airspace. Yet over decades, there have been repeated accounts of objects that elude classification, defying known aerodynamic principles. These encounters are meticulously logged in flight reports, often corroborated by multiple crew members, air traffic control recordings, and sometimes even by radar confirmation. One notable type of encounter involves objects that appear suddenly in flight paths, sometimes moving at incredible speeds, other times remaining perfectly stationary, as if observing. Pilots describe triangular or disc-shaped craft, often metallic in appearance, glowing faintly, and sometimes emitting subtle lights in colours not typical of standard aircraft. These objects maneuver with a smoothness that seems impossible. Instant acceleration, rapid vertical or lateral movement, and turns executed without the banking or drag that any conventional aircraft would require. Consider the accounts from several airline crews during the 1980s and 1990s. A flight over the Midwest United States reported a bright object approaching from the horizon at an extraordinary speed. The captain noted that the object seemed to slow and accelerate at will, hovering for several minutes directly in the flight path before moving away silently. Radar operators confirmed the object's movement, noting that it appeared on instruments with no transponder signal or known aircraft classification. The first officer, observing alongside the captain, described the object as glowing with an almost metallic sheen. Its shape smooth and aerodynamic, yet unlike anything produced on Earth. Another compelling case comes from transatlantic flights in the late 1970s. A commercial aircrew observed several lights moving in formation at cruising altitude. These lights appeared to maneuver in unison, maintaining exact spacing as they descended slightly, then quickly rose and disappeared beyond radar detection. Crew members described a calm, almost meditative observation of the phenomenon, noting its silent, deliberate movement and the impossibility of interpreting it as conventional air traffic or meteorological anomalies. These encounters are not isolated. Pilots across Europe, Asia, South America, and the United States have independently reported similar phenomena. A striking pattern emerges. Objects appear in flight corridors, maintain precise control, and often disappear suddenly, with no evidence of conventional propulsion or maneuvering. Many pilots note a subtle sense of awareness in the objects, as if they observe the aircraft and adjust their behaviour accordingly. There is no aggression, no threat, merely the quiet presence of something unknown operating in the same airspace. Air traffic controllers have also reported radar anomalies consistent with pilot observations. Blips appear on screens, often accelerating or decelerating beyond human capability, sometimes splitting into multiple contacts, then vanishing as if erased from existence. In some instances, Radar operators have noted objects descending from high altitude to near the ground, then ascending again almost instantaneously, movements impossible for any known aircraft. These anomalies are cross-referenced with flight crew accounts, creating compelling evidence of unidentified aerial phenomena. One of the most fascinating aspects of these encounters is the hesitation of pilots to report them publicly. Concerns over professional reputation, fear of ridicule, or the potential for career consequences mean that many accounts remain quiet for decades. Yet, the consistency and credibility of these reports suggest a phenomenon that is real, persistent, and independent of individual perception. The fact that trained professionals, responsible for the safety of hundreds of passengers, report the same types of objects repeatedly across different regions and eras adds substantial weight to the accounts. Some reports hint at an almost interactive quality. Pilots describe objects moving in ways that seem to mimic or respond to human flight patterns. One flight crew over the North Atlantic noted that a glowing object followed their trajectory for several minutes, maintaining a constant distance, before abruptly accelerating beyond radar detection. Another pilot recounted a similar experience. The object seemed to pause when the aircraft changed course, then followed the new trajectory almost seamlessly, as though it were aware of the aircraft's intentions. This behavior suggests intelligence, awareness, and purpose in the phenomenon, qualities difficult to reconcile with misidentified aircraft, weather, or natural phenomena. Eyewitness accounts also emphasize sensory experiences beyond visual observation. Some pilots report a faint low-frequency hum during encounters, barely perceptible, but distinct enough to raise attention. Others note temporary fluctuations in instrument readings or subtle interference with navigation systems. These occurrences are often brief, lasting only moments, yet they reinforce the idea that these objects are interacting with both the environment and human technology in ways that are deliberate yet non-threatening. Repeated sightings in certain air corridors suggest the existence of hotspots in the sky, similar to those observed on land and sea. Areas over deserts, oceans, and sparsely populated regions frequently host multiple reports. Some researchers propose that these regions may serve as observation points, energy nodes, or staging areas for objects exhibiting advanced mobility and intelligence. The clustering of sightings is not random. It forms a subtle pattern that implies both awareness and intent. Even modern pilots continue to report similar phenomena. With the advent of sophisticated navigation and tracking systems, including GPS, radar, and flight data recorders, sightings have become more verifiable than ever. Reports indicate objects performing impossible maneuvers, moving at extraordinary velocities, and sometimes appearing to shadow aircraft for extended periods. Some encounters are captured on cockpit cameras, showing smooth, reflective surfaces and movements inconsistent with conventional flight mechanics. Imagine as we drift gently above the world in a quiet cockpit at night, observing lights appearing in the distance. They glide silently, move with astonishing speed and precision, and vanish as suddenly as they appeared. The experience leaves an observer with a sense of calm curiosity, an awareness that something profoundly intelligent exists in the skies alongside us. These are moments that challenge our understanding of technology, physics, and perhaps even our place in the universe. As we close this chapter, it becomes clear that commercial pilots and air crews provide some of the most credible and consistent reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. Their observations, verified by instruments, corroborated by multiple witnesses, and repeated across decades and continents, point to a persistent, intelligent presence in our skies. These encounters are calm, deliberate, and precise, inviting us to observe carefully, reflect, and wonder at the possibilities that exist just above the ordinary flight paths of our daily lives. Chapter 10: Mass Sightings, with hundreds of independent witnesses. Tonight, let us drift into a quieter, yet deeply compelling aspect of the phenomenon. The moments when the sky is shared not by a single observer, but by hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, all witnessing the same extraordinary events. Picture a town at twilight, streets calm, the wind whispering softly through the trees, families settling into their evening routines. And then the sky begins to change. Lights appear, moving in patterns that are impossible to explain. They hover, glide, and sometimes move with a coherence that defies conventional understanding. Mass sightings carry a weight that is different from individual reports. When one person sees something, there is always the possibility of misperception, optical illusion, or imagination. But when hundreds, or even thousands of independent observers report the same event across different vantage points, the phenomenon takes on a profound credibility. These coordinated observations, documented in newspapers, recorded on film, captured on early video equipment, and sometimes even confirmed by instruments such as radar or cameras. The consistency of reports across generations, locations, and cultures is remarkable. One of the most famous cases occurred in Belgium between 1989 and 1991. Thousands of people reported seeing large triangular craft moving silently across the sky, their lights glowing brightly, performing maneuvers that conventional aircraft could not replicate. These objects were tracked by military radar, confirming the movements described by witnesses. What makes the event extraordinary is the convergence of so many independent perspectives. Civilians, police officers, pilots, and military personnel all described similar shapes, flight patterns, and light behaviours. The reports were consistent enough to merit an official investigation, yet the phenomenon was never fully explained. Similarly, in Mexico during the late 1990s, mass sightings occurred along coastal areas. Residents reported clusters of glowing lights moving over the ocean, performing synchronized patterns, hovering and vanishing in ways that baffled observers. Local authorities received hundreds of phone calls from individuals of all ages, reporting the same events from different neighborhoods, towns, and even islands. Videos captured at the time show bright, moving orbs, though many were later dismissed by skeptics. However, the sheer volume and consistency of reports, many from trained observers such as fishermen and pilots, suggests something extraordinary occurred. In the United States, the Phoenix Lights event of 1997 remains a defining example of mass sightings. Tens of thousands of people reported seeing a massive V-shaped formation of lights hovering silently over the city and surrounding desert. Eyewitnesses described the lights as enormous, stretching across miles of sky and moving with precision that defied conventional aircraft dynamics. Military explanations suggested flares, yet those who observed the phenomenon insist the object was solid, silent, and controlled. The persistence of the story in local memory, the sheer number of witnesses, and the geographic spread of observations make this case particularly compelling. Mass sightings often share common characteristics, regardless of location or era. Objects appear with smooth, deliberate motion. Lights are consistent in shape, colour, and arrangement. Movements are synchronized, suggesting intelligence or intentional design. Witnesses frequently report a feeling of calm or awe rather than fear, as if the phenomenon itself conveys an awareness of human presence. In many cases, multiple vantage points confirm the object's size, movement, and behaviour, eliminating the likelihood of simple optical illusions. eyewitness accounts frequently describe an extraordinary sense of timing and coordination. In one coastal town, a group of fishermen reported observing a sequence of lights moving in unison over the water, their paths aligning perfectly with landmarks and piers, then vanishing in a synchronized pattern. Simultaneously, residents inland observed similar lights at the same relative positions, suggesting that the phenomenon extended across both air and ground perspectives. Such coherence in mass sightings is difficult to reconcile with conventional explanations, reinforcing the idea of intelligence or planning behind the events. In addition to visual accounts, there are reports of subtle physical effect accompanying mass sightings. Some witnesses note faint vibrations, changes in ambient light, or temporary interference with electronic devices. In a few cases, multiple observers report hearing low, barely perceptible hums or sensing a change in the atmosphere. These subtle phenomena often go unnoticed by scientists studying the events, but are consistently described by witnesses across different sightings, hinting at an underlying mechanism that interacts with the environment in ways not yet understood. Historical records suggest that mass sightings are not a modern phenomenon. Ancient texts, cave paintings, and folklore describe groups of people witnessing unusual lights or objects in the sky. Indigenous communities across Africa, South America, and Australia pass down oral histories of glowing objects hovering over land or water, often associated with wisdom, observation, or curiosity from beyond our world. The consistency of these accounts with modern mass sightings is striking, suggesting that humanity has long observed phenomena that do not fit into conventional explanations. In some instances, mass sightings coincide with independent instrument detection. Observatories, radar stations, and even amateur astronomers report anomalies in the sky at the same time as civilian sightings. One remarkable case occurred in Chile in the 1970s, when residents reported glowing objects performing aerial maneuvers over the Andes, and an observatory recorded sudden, unexplained movements in their instruments. The combination of multiple eyewitnesses and independent detection strengthens the credibility of these events, highlighting a pattern that transcends individual perception. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of mass sightings is the repeated nature of these events in certain locations. Just as with hotspots on land and over the oceans, some areas appear to attract repeated observation. Over decades, towns, cities, and even rural regions experience periodic events where hundreds of independent witnesses report the same phenomenon. This repetition across generations suggests long-term observation or interaction, as if these objects or intelligences are quietly monitoring human activity over time, waiting for moments when they can be seen collectively, yet without interference. Mass sightings are not simply visual anomalies, they're shared experiences that leave lasting impressions. Witnesses often describe an altered perception of time, a heightened awareness of their surroundings, and an unshakable sense that what they saw is not of our world. Families, communities, and professionals report discussing these events for years, passing on accounts, and sometimes even conducting their own observations. These shared experiences create a continuity of testimony, a living record of phenomena that cannot easily be dismissed as isolated incidents. Imagine, for a moment, standing quietly on a hilltop with hundreds of others, all watching the sky as lights appear in perfect formation. They glide silently, hover, and move with an intelligence that seems aware of the collective gaze. Some vanish suddenly, others linger, leaving a sense of calm curiosity in their wake. The experience is both humbling and mesmerizing, a reminder that the world contains mysteries far beyond our daily perception, and that these mysteries have been observed, documented, and remembered by countless individuals over generations. As we gently close this chapter, it becomes clear that mass sightings provide some of the most compelling evidence of the phenomenon. Hundreds of independent witnesses, often in different locations, describing the same events, seeing objects that behave beyond human capability, and in many cases confirmed by instruments, all suggest a reality that quietly persists alongside our ordinary experience. These events invite reflection, curiosity, and awe, reminding us that there is intelligence, pattern, and presence in our skies that transcends ordinary understanding. Chapter 11. Crop Formations. With mathematical precision. Tonight let us slowly descend from the skies and drift gently across fields and farmlands, where the earth itself bears quiet testimony to events that are both mesmerizing and mysterious. Imagine standing in the soft glow of moonlight over a vast expanse of crops, the gentle rustling of wheat or barley under a night breeze, and then noticing patterns, lines, circles, intricate geometrical formations that appear as if drawn with perfect precision overnight, with a sophistication that defies human craftsmanship. These crop formations, sometimes referred to as crop circles, are among the most visually compelling and enduring mysteries associated with the phenomenon. What makes these formations extraordinary is not merely their complexity, but the subtlety and precision with which they are created. While some are simple circles or arcs, many display intricate geometric patterns, fractals, and even mathematical relationships that suggest knowledge of advanced principles. For example, certain formations exhibit ratios consistent with the Fibonacci sequence, nested spirals, and radial symmetry that require careful planning and execution. When studied in detail, these formations often reveal connections to sacred geometry, celestial patterns, or symbolic representations that resonate far beyond mere aesthetics. Eyewitness accounts from farmers and residents have long been part of the record. Many report waking to find fields transformed overnight, with plants bent carefully at their base, rather than broken, forming intricate patterns that seem to interact with the surrounding landscape. In some instances, soil samples taken from within these formations show anomalies, changes in compaction, faint electromagnetic readings, and temporary alterations in plant biochemistry. While such effects are subtle and not universally replicated, the consistency across multiple formations in different countries suggests more than coincidence. One remarkable case occurred in Wiltshire, England, a region known for recurring crop formations. Observers reported waking to find a sprawling pattern covering several acres of wheat. The formation featured interconnected circles, arcs, and lines, each precisely measured and proportioned. Scientists visiting the site noted that the plants were bent in a smooth, flowing manner rather than broken, suggesting an influence that was gentle yet deliberate. Further analysis revealed faint magnetic anomalies in the soil, as if an energy field had been applied selectively across the area. The precision of these formations is matched by their sudden appearance. Many crop formations emerge overnight or within hours, leaving little evidence of human involvement. Witnesses describe feeling an unusual stillness in the air, a subtle hum, or a faint vibration when approaching the site. Some report noticing unusual lights in the sky prior to the formation's appearance. Glowing orbs, streaks of light, or even stationary shapes hovering above the fields. These observations often occur simultaneously across multiple nearby locations, hinting at coordination and intentionality. Historical records suggest that crop formations are not purely modern phenomena. Ancient art, folklore, and texts contain references to circular patterns appearing in fields, mysterious markings, and unexplained phenomena in rural areas. While modern formations are typically documented with photography and scientific observation, earlier accounts describe similar events. Intricate designs appearing overnight, often associated with unusual celestial activity, unexplained lights in the sky, and phenomena that instilled both awe and curiosity in local populations. In addition to the visual patterns, some researchers have noted subtle effects on electronics, animals, and human perception. Residents near formations sometimes report temporary interference with radios, cameras, or navigation devices. Animals, particularly livestock, exhibit unusual behavior near formations, appearing restless or attentive to the patterns. And individuals entering these areas often describe a feeling of heightened awareness, a sense of calm curiosity, or even an almost dreamlike connection with the surrounding environment. These phenomena, while anecdotal, recur across independent reports and regions, adding layers of intrigue and credibility. Some crop formations appear to encode information. Researchers analysing the shapes, angles, and proportions have discovered correlations with astronomical configurations, mathematical constants, and symbolic imagery. Certain formations mirror the positions of stars, planets, or constellations visible at the time of their creation. Others seem to depict abstract representations of concepts such as energy flow, cycles of nature, or even potential communication patterns. While interpretations vary, the precision and consistency of the geometric relationships are difficult to reconcile with casual human activity. Eyewitness reports often include additional sensory observations. People approaching formations at night describe a quiet luminescence, faint orbs of light hovering over or within the pattern, and sometimes low-frequency vibrations or hums. Farmers occasionally wake to discover their fields transformed, yet report that the plants themselves are undamaged, bent in a way that preserves their vitality. In some cases, subtle chemical changes in the soil or altered plant growth patterns have been documented, suggesting that the formations involve more than physical arrangement. They may involve a form of energy or influence beyond conventional explanation. The geographic distribution of crop formations is also notable. While England and Europe have long been hotspots, similar patterns appear worldwide. In the United States, Japan, South America, and Australia. Despite vast differences in culture, climate, and agriculture, the formations consistently display sophisticated geometry, sudden appearance, and subtle environmental anomalies. The global consistency hints at a phenomenon that transcends local human activity and may reflect a broader intelligence observing or interacting with the natural world. Interestingly, some formations appear to interact with their environment in unexpected ways. Shadows cast by the moon or sun at specific times align perfectly with the geometry of the patterns. In certain cases, formations correspond with ley lines, energy nodes, or other subtle geographic features. These correlations suggest intentional placement and awareness of both celestial and terrestrial factors. Observers often report a sense of connection or awareness when standing within a formation, as if the pattern itself conveys information or energy, inviting contemplation and observation. Imagine walking slowly through one of these formations under a gentle evening sky, the soft sound of wind brushing against bent wheat stalks. Lights above flicker faintly, and the geometry stretches out before you with perfect symmetry. The air feels calm yet alive with subtle energy, as if the pattern itself is aware of your presence. Each circle, line, and spiral feels deliberate, intentional, and significant. As you move through the pattern, you sense a quiet communication, a connection across space, time, and perhaps even consciousness. As this chapter closes, it's evident that crop formations offer a profound glimpse into the mysterious. They combine precision, beauty, and subtle environmental effects with eyewitness reports of lights, energy, and intelligence. These formations appear worldwide, across generations, and often in ways that challenge explanation. They are a reminder that the earth beneath our feet and the skies above may be more connected to unknown intelligence than we realize, and that the quiet mysteries of our world continue to invite observation, curiosity, and wonder. Chapter 12: Human Encounters Involving Missing Time. Tonight we will step gently into one of the most intimate and perplexing aspects of this phenomenon: the experiences reported by individuals who recall strange periods of time slipping away, hours or even minutes that seem to vanish without memory, explanation, or conventional cause. Imagine a quiet evening, the sky tinged with fading light, the soft hum of the world in the background. A person walks down a country road or drives along a deserted highway and suddenly senses that something is off. A moment passes, or perhaps many moments, and when they regain awareness, they realize that hours may have slipped by without recollection. The experience is disorienting, often accompanied by a feeling of wonder, confusion, and a subtle sense of having been observed. Accounts of missing time often share striking similarities, regardless of geography or era. Individuals describe a sudden blanking of consciousness, followed by vivid memories of unusual lights, strange sounds, or entities that appear humanoid but not entirely human. Some recall being lifted or transported, sometimes inside a craft or a place they cannot identify. Others report interactions with beings who communicate silently, through thoughts or gestures, often accompanied by a profound sense of calm or inevitability. Yet the details remain elusive, as the brain struggles to reconcile the passage of time that seems to have vanished entirely. One of the most notable cases occurred in the American Midwest in the 1970s. A family driving home at night noticed a bright light hovering over a field. The driver, a man accustomed to nocturnal driving and familiar with the terrain, later recalled missing nearly 2 hours of travel time, despite no accidents or deviation from the route. Family members reported similar gaps in memory. When investigated by researchers in the field of anomalous experiences, subtle physical traces were found in the area: flattened grass, faint impressions in the soil, and minor electromagnetic anomalies that suggested a presence had passed through the space. Many reports share a curious consistency in the way individuals describe sensory experiences during these missing periods. Witnesses frequently report a feeling of floating, a sense of calm, or heightened awareness of surroundings. Some notice an unusual clarity in observation, as if every detail is intensified: the texture of a surface, the hum of an unseen machine, or the subtle glow of light within a darkened space. Others experience tactile sensations, such as gentle vibrations or pressure, that defy easy explanation. In each case, the return of normal consciousness is sudden, leaving the individual aware of a lost fragment of time that cannot be accounted for. Psychological and neurological studies of such cases reveal intriguing patterns. Individuals experiencing missing time often show heightened attention to detail in recounting events, even when memories are fragmented. Common themes include light anomalies, auditory sensations, and encounters with beings described as human-like but subtly different, smaller in stature, with large eyes, or unusual skin tones. Interestingly, these descriptions remain remarkably consistent across different individuals and cultures, suggesting either a universal archetype or a shared interaction with an unknown intelligence. One particularly compelling account involves a group of hikers in the remote forests of Canada. While navigating dense woodland, they observed strange lights above the tree line, glowing softly and moving in patterns that defied natural explanation. When they later checked their watches, they discovered that several hours had passed with no recollection of how they had navigated the terrain. Upon return, subtle physical effects were noted: bent vegetation, slight impressions in moss, and a faint warmth in a small clearing where the lights had appeared. The hikers described an odd sense of being guided or observed, a calm presence that never threatened but insisted upon attention. Missing time experiences are often accompanied by subtle traces that suggest a physical interaction with the environment, even when the main event remains unremembered. Soil compaction, minor alterations in local flora, and temporary disruptions in electromagnetic equipment have been reported in connection with such events. These traces, though faint, suggest that the phenomena are not entirely subjective or hallucinatory. Rather, they may involve a direct, physical interaction that exists beyond our ordinary perception. In some instances, multiple people experience missing time simultaneously. Such events are particularly intriguing, as they suggest that the phenomenon can affect groups, preserving a consistent shared experience across individuals who have not conferred with one another. Families, small groups of hikers, or even entire communities in rare cases report synchronized gaps in memory, often correlated with sightings of lights or objects in the sky. These collective experiences offer a compelling argument for a phenomenon that is both real and interactive, capable of influencing human perception in a profound way. The sensation of missing time is often accompanied by psychological effects that endure long after the event. Individuals describe recurring dreams or flashbacks, subtle shifts in perception, and a lingering sense that their experience, while disorienting, was guided or intentional. Many report heightened curiosity about the skies, unusual energy in natural spaces, and a sense of interconnectedness with a broader pattern that is just beyond ordinary understanding. In some cases, repeated missing time experiences become transformative, reshaping an individual's awareness of their environment, consciousness, and place in the universe. Historical accounts suggest that these phenomena are not unique to modern times. Folklore from various cultures speaks of people vanishing temporarily, only to return with tales of luminous beings, strange crafts, or journeys that cannot be explained by known geography. In European legends, travelers occasionally disappeared for hours or days, returning with memories of lights in the sky or enigmatic landscapes. Indigenous stories in the Americas and Africa describe similar occurrences, often linking them to celestial events or encounters with otherworldly entities. The continuity of such reports over centuries suggests a persistent and organized phenomenon operating quietly alongside human life. Eyewitnesses often describe a subtle intelligence during these events. The experience is rarely chaotic or violent. Instead, it conveys a sense of observation, study, or instruction. Beings encountered during missing time episodes often appear patient, deliberate, and calm, as if their purpose is not to frighten, but to engage, observe, or interact in ways beyond immediate comprehension. The objects or lights associated with these events frequently display movements that are intelligent, coordinated, and responsive to human presence. Imagine walking down a deserted country road, the night enveloping you in quiet stillness. A soft glow appears in the distance, moving slowly, deliberately. The air seems heavier, charged with energy, yet calm. Moments pass, or perhaps hours in a blur, and when you regain full awareness, you are aware that a fragment of time has vanished. The experience is subtle yet profound, leaving you with lingering questions, curiosity, and an undeniable sense that something beyond the ordinary has been present. As we close this chapter, it is clear that human encounters involving missing time provide some of the most intimate and compelling evidence of a phenomenon that is interactive, intelligent, and persistent. The consistency of sensory experiences, environmental traces, psychological patterns, and historical continuity all suggest that these events are neither imaginary nor isolated. They offer a window into a reality that quietly operates alongside our own, revealing intelligence, intent, and mystery woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Chapter 13: Signals from Space. That repeated, then stopped. Tonight, let us lift our gaze beyond the Earth, beyond its atmosphere, into the silent depths of space, where countless stars shimmer in the infinite darkness and unseen waves of energy traverse the void. It is here, in the vast expanse above, that some of the most intriguing signals, mysterious and fleeting, have been recorded. Patterns of energy, brief pulses, or coded sequences that suggest intelligence reaching across unimaginable distances. These signals, detected by astronomers, radio observatories, and amateur enthusiasts, provide a compelling dimension to the phenomenon, hinting at a presence that observes, communicates, or monitors with a sophistication far beyond our current understanding. The story begins in the mid-20th century, when radio astronomy began to advance. Scientists listening to the cosmos were amazed to detect signals that seemed structured, repetitive, and unlike the random noise typically produced by stars or cosmic radiation. These signals, often short bursts, carried patterns that suggested purpose. One of the most famous instances occurred in the late 1960s, when observatories recorded what appeared to be a repeating sequence at a precise frequency, consistent in pattern, but appearing only intermittently. Researchers were cautious, considering interference from satellites, terrestrial equipment, or natural sources, yet the sequence persisted, repeating on multiple occasions, with anomalies too consistent to ignore. What makes these signals particularly fascinating is their sudden disappearance. In numerous cases, after initial observation and documentation, the transmission stopped entirely, leaving scientists with questions and recordings that hint at deliberate cessation. Some theorists suggest that the sender may have paused after realizing detection, perhaps observing our response or waiting for a moment of quiet. Others propose that the signals are part of a structured experiment, an intelligence testing our awareness, readiness, or technological capacity to perceive distant phenomena. One example comes from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico during the 1970s. A brief, repeating signal was detected that seemed to carry a sequence of numeric patterns. For several hours, the pattern repeated, consistent across multiple instruments. Astronomers meticulously recorded the data, yet as the observation window ended, the signals ceased, vanishing as if withdrawn by an unseen hand. The phenomenon left a lasting impression on the scientific community, prompting speculation about extraterrestrial intelligence, advanced technology, or forces operating beyond human comprehension. Similar incidents have been reported in other regions, including Australia, Russia, and North America. Observatories documented bursts of narrowband signals, pulsating with a rhythm that did not match known natural sources. Some signals appeared to encode information using prime numbers or other mathematical sequences, suggesting intelligence, not chance. Yet, just as quickly as they appeared, the signals stopped, never repeating or reappearing only under mysterious circumstances. In some cases, attempts to track the origin were inconclusive, as the signals seemed to emerge from vast stretches of space, defying traditional triangulation. What makes these observations all the more compelling is the consistency across decades. Signals often appear in patterns, brief, repeated sequences, unusual frequencies, and a sudden cessation that seems intentional. Amateur astronomers in the 1980s and 1990s reported faint repeating pulses detected on homemade receivers, closely matching signals recorded by professional observatories. In some cases, multiple observers detected the same pulses simultaneously, suggesting that these signals were not local anomalies or equipment errors. Eyewitnesses, including scientists and radio technicians, describe subtle phenomena accompanying signal detection. Instruments sometimes exhibit minor fluctuations, subtle interference, or momentary anomalies not present before or after the signal. Observers occasionally report faint visual phenomena, unexplained lights in the night sky coinciding with the burst of energy. These correlations suggest that the signals may not be entirely abstract, but part of a broader pattern involving both energy and intelligence, a message reaching toward Earth with a purpose beyond simple transmission. One particularly notable instance occurred in the 1990s at the Big Ear Radio Telescope in Ohio. A brief, repeating signal, recorded and labeled with meticulous detail, persisted for 72 seconds, following a clear pattern of intensity and timing. Known as the WOW signal, it sparked intense debate, with astronomers unable to explain the origin. Attempts to detect it again failed, yet the recording remains a touchstone for those studying potential extraterrestrial communication. The signal's repetition and sudden disappearance exemplify a subtle but persistent pattern. Intelligence that acts deliberately, yet with discretion, remaining just beyond our ability to interact directly. In recent decades, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence has grown increasingly sophisticated, using arrays of radio telescopes, deep space receivers, and satellite observatories. Yet the mystery persists. Signals continue to emerge, often repeating for brief periods, then ceasing completely. Some are correlated with mass sightings, UFO reports, or anomalous events on Earth, suggesting a connection between these distant transmissions and phenomena occurring locally. This raises profound questions. Are these signals observational, communicative, or part of a broader strategy to interact indirectly with human civilization? Historical records hint at a continuity that predates modern technology. Early astronomers, equipped with rudimentary radio receivers or optical instruments, noted unusual flashes, pulses, or anomalies in the sky. While dismissed as atmospheric or mechanical artifacts at the time, the patterns described bear remarkable similarity to signals recorded decades later with modern equipment. This continuity, across eras and technology, suggests a persistent presence that has observed humanity quietly, waiting for the development of instruments capable of recording and interpreting the signals. Eyewitnesses consistently describe a feeling of awareness during these events. Whether standing at a telescope, listening to a receiver, or observing a fleeting light in the sky, there is a subtle sense of intelligence behind the phenomenon. It is not chaotic. It is deliberate, measured, and aware of human perception. Some scientists report feeling a profound stillness or heightened attention when signals are detected, as if the event itself gently draws focus and observation, without intrusion or aggression. Imagine standing under a vast night sky, your equipment softly humming, the universe stretching endlessly above, when a faint pulse reaches you, structured, repeated, yet fleeting. You watch numbers and waveforms flicker on the screen, sense subtle anomalies in the surrounding air, and feel a quiet presence in the moment. Then, as suddenly as it arrived, the pulse ceases. The stars are still, the night calm, yet you're left with an undeniable awareness that intelligence is reaching across the cosmos, just beyond the edge of comprehension. As this chapter draws to a close, it is evident that signals from space, repeating and then stopping, offer a profound glimpse into the possibility of intelligence beyond Earth. The consistency, structure, and subtle interaction with observers suggest deliberation and purpose. These signals are a reminder that the universe may be far more alive and intelligent than we imagine, quietly observing, communicating, and testing the boundaries of our awareness. Chapter 14. Whistleblowers who claimed direct knowledge, then disappeared. Tonight, let us drift gently into a shadowed corner of the phenomenon, a space where courage and curiosity intersect, where those who have dared to speak openly about what they know, or believe they know, have faced consequences that remain as mysterious as the events they describe. Imagine a quiet office, a laboratory filled with instruments and data, a room dimly lit with the soft hum of machinery, and someone leaning over a set of documents that reveal truths not yet meant for the public eye. It is in these moments, in such spaces, that whistleblowers have stepped forward, recounting encounters, discoveries, and classified knowledge of phenomena that seem to defy conventional understanding. The pattern of these accounts is unsettling. Individuals, often deeply embedded in military, aerospace, or governmental research, speak of projects involving unidentified aerial phenomena, unusual materials, or advanced technologies. They describe meetings, briefings, and documents that suggest a systematic observation of objects and entities far beyond human capability. Some recount having personally witnessed objects performing maneuvers that defy known physics, while others describe access to materials recovered from crash sites, exhibiting properties that cannot be explained by contemporary science. One of the earliest widely known cases involves an aerospace engineer from the 1970s who requested anonymity to protect his career. He reported that while working on classified projects, he encountered materials recovered from what was described as a crash retrieval site. The metals were extraordinarily light, flexible, yet resilient, and exhibited behavior that changed under stress, molecular shifts that conventional alloys do not display. The engineer described the experience as both awe-inspiring and terrifying, knowing that revealing such knowledge could result in professional and perhaps personal consequences. Whistleblowers often share stories of direct observation. A former military radar technician recounted incidents where unidentified objects appeared on instruments, moving with precision and speed impossible for any human-made craft. He described witnessing official attempts to conceal or suppress evidence, including the removal of radar logs and alteration of flight records. According to his testimony, certain sightings were deliberately minimized in public reports, despite multiple corroborating witnesses among highly trained personnel. The effect, he said, was a silent acknowledgement. These phenomena were real, controlled, and closely monitored. Many whistleblowers also recount encounters with unusual materials or objects that seem to originate beyond Earth. Laboratory technicians and metallurgists have described alloys that resist melting, warp under stress without breaking, and demonstrate properties that defy known chemistry. Some of these materials reportedly rearrange molecularly under controlled tests, as if programmed or engineered with intent. The testimony of these individuals carries a striking consistency. These are not mere metals, but engineered matter with properties that suggest intelligence, purpose, and origin beyond conventional human capability. The risks faced by these whistleblowers are notable. Some individuals who have come forward publicly have experienced sudden professional setbacks, intense scrutiny, or personal threats that discouraged further disclosure. A few have vanished under mysterious circumstances, never to be heard from again. Historical patterns reveal a subtle but persistent pressure exerted on those who attempt to reveal knowledge of phenomena that challenge human understanding. This creates an environment of secrecy and tension, yet also lends credibility. Those willing to speak do so despite potential consequences, signaling a commitment to truth rather than fame. Eyewitness accounts of whistleblower interactions often include unusual events surrounding their testimonies. Individuals have reported receiving anonymous warnings, experiencing unexplained surveillance, or encountering mysterious circumstances during travels or professional meetings. Despite these pressures, many continue to provide testimony, often releasing information gradually, knowing that credibility must be established carefully to avoid immediate dismissal. The balance between courage and caution is delicate, yet it underscores the seriousness of what is being revealed. Consider the testimony of a former government analyst from the late 1980s who reported observing internal communications regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. According to this individual, certain files documented repeated incursions over restricted airspace, detailed radar anomalies, and reports of objects demonstrating capabilities far beyond current aerospace engineering. The analyst described seeing evidence of deliberate suppression of information, including destroyed or altered logs to prevent public awareness. Even so, the depth and detail of the files suggested a sustained observation, careful documentation, and a pattern of interaction that could not be dismissed as coincidence. Whistleblowers often describe a pattern emerging from disparate events. Sightings, recovered materials, missing time events, and signals from space appear interconnected, forming a subtle web of interaction and observation. The testimony suggests that these phenomena are monitored with intention, possibly involving long-term study, communication attempts, or even discrete guidance. The consistency of accounts across decades, professions, and regions paints a picture of a phenomenon both deliberate and patient, observed by humans but remaining largely beyond their control. Historical examples reveal that whistleblowers are not a recent phenomenon. Throughout the 20th century, individuals from military, aerospace, and intelligence communities have spoken of encounters with objects or technologies that exceed human engineering. They recount meetings with senior officials, exposure to classified documents, and first-hand observation of objects performing maneuvers that defy physics. Despite varied backgrounds and nationalities, the core elements of these accounts remain remarkably similar: advanced technology, deliberate observation, and a need for secrecy. Beyond materials and flight phenomena, some whistleblowers report indirect experiences, discussions of extraterrestrial life, access to restricted communications channels, and exposure to unusual signals or patterns. These accounts often describe a quiet, organized effort to understand the presence, behaviors, and intentions of phenomena that operate at the boundaries of human comprehension. The whistleblower narrative frequently emphasizes that these phenomena are neither hostile nor random. Rather, they exhibit intelligence, consistency, and a long-term plan that humanity has only begun to perceive. Imagine for a moment the quiet tension of being a witness to something extraordinary yet forbidden. The knowledge resides in private hands, shared in whispers, carefully documented yet largely hidden. The awareness that observation and understanding must proceed cautiously weighs heavily, yet the desire to reveal truth persists. Each testimony carries not just information, but a subtle invitation to consider the possibility that intelligence, purpose, and mystery quietly intersect with our daily lives, often just beyond the reach of ordinary perception. As this chapter closes, it becomes clear that whistleblowers who claim direct knowledge, and in some cases disappeared or were silenced, provide a crucial link in understanding the phenomenon. Their courage, consistency, and detailed observations suggest a reality that operates with deliberate intelligence, observed across decades and continents. These accounts remind us that the truth of these phenomena is both persistent and profound, quietly waiting for those willing to observe with care, curiosity, and an open mind. Chapter 15. The pattern that emerges when all evidence is viewed together. Tonight, we reach a quiet, contemplative moment, a time to slowly gather all the pieces of the puzzle we have explored so far. From the skies watched by military pilots and radar operators, to the enigmatic structures of ancient civilizations, from mysterious metals recovered from crash sites, to mass sightings and crop formations, from signals pulsing across the vastness of space to human encounters with missing time, and the testimonies of those brave individuals who have stepped forward at great personal risk, a pattern begins to emerge. It is a pattern that is subtle, yet unmistakable when viewed with patience, care, and an open mind. Consider for a moment the nature of observation itself. Each event we have explored may seem separate, isolated, or random when viewed individually, but as we allow the mind to trace connections, to notice recurring behaviors, repeated locations, and the presence of intelligence that transcends human capability, a network of coherence begins to appear. Objects repeatedly visit certain regions, performing maneuvers that suggest planning. Crop formations and celestial alignments echo one another in ways that imply foresight. Signals from space, brief yet structured, hint at communication. Whistleblowers report the same technologies, materials, and behaviors across different continents and decades. These threads, when woven together, suggest that the phenomenon is not chaotic, but deliberately orchestrated. One of the first connections becomes evident in the locations of repeated sightings. From military radar reports and US Navy pilot encounters to civilian mass observations, certain hotspots appear consistently. Airspaces over sensitive installations, nuclear sites, remote deserts, and coastal regions emerge repeatedly as sites of contact. These locations are often far from random human activity, yet seem chosen with precision. It is as if the intelligence behind these events understands our geography, our technology, and our behaviors, selecting moments and locations that maximize observation while minimizing immediate disruption. The second pattern emerges in behavior. Objects across decades, continents, and reports demonstrate a remarkable similarity in movement and form. Smooth, silent, intelligent flight, the ability to appear and vanish with precision, and repeated interaction with instruments such as radar or sensors, all these behaviors suggest a technology or intelligence operating with principles far beyond our current understanding. It is not merely speed or maneuverability, it is the consistent intelligence evident in decision-making, observation, and interaction with human technology. A third pattern surfaces in the impact on humans themselves. Whether through missing time experiences, subtle environmental anomalies and crop formations, or the profound curiosity and awe reported by mass sighting witnesses, humans are affected in predictable, subtle ways. There is rarely immediate fear or chaos. Instead, there is calm observation, quiet wonder, heightened perception, and a sense of being noted or studied. The intelligence behind these events seems patient, almost gentle in its observation, carefully orchestrating interactions that inform without overwhelming. If we consider recovered materials and non-human alloys alongside eyewitness testimony, another pattern appears. The phenomenon operates both in physical and perceptual dimensions. Materials recovered from crash sites demonstrate properties impossible with current human engineering, while witnesses report experiences of time distortion, lights, or sensations beyond normal perception. These dual aspects, physical and perceptual, indicate a phenomenon that interacts with reality on multiple levels simultaneously, carefully leaving evidence yet maintaining mystery. Signals from space, when included in the larger tapestry, reinforce this pattern. The brief, repeated transmissions we discussed suggest an intelligence that observes, communicates, and monitors. Some signals cease once detected, as if the sender recognizes the observation. When combined with terrestrial sightings, missing time experiences, and material evidence, these signals imply a continuity, a coherent intelligence operating across vast distances and mediums, subtly interacting with humanity without overt interference. Whistleblowers provide the final, human-centered element of the pattern. Their courage, detailed testimony, and often unfortunate disappearance highlight the seriousness of the phenomenon and the reality of long-term observation. They reveal that the intelligence we are studying is not hypothetical. It is acknowledged at the highest levels of technology, defense, and research, often in secrecy. These individuals, despite pressure and risk, provide continuity, connecting decades of sightings, materials, signals, and encounters into a coherent story of observation and interaction. When viewed together, these patterns suggest a presence that is deliberate, persistent, and intelligent. There is organization in the phenomena, repeated choices in location and timing, consistent behavior across events, and subtle interactions with humanity. The evidence does not appear haphazard or random. It is measured, calculated, and remarkably consistent across generations and continents. There is a quiet intelligence observing, learning, and perhaps guiding interactions in a manner designed to maintain secrecy, encourage curiosity, and allow for careful observation of human behavior. Even the anomalies in human perception, from mass sightings to missing time, reinforce the overall pattern. They suggest that the intelligence behind these events is aware of human psychology, perception, and cultural tendencies, subtly shaping experiences to leave evidence, create wonder, and preserve the possibility of discovery without panic or fear. It is as if humanity is being slowly introduced to an understanding, prepared over decades, centuries, or perhaps millennia for a truth just beyond immediate comprehension. The final and perhaps most compelling aspect of this emerging pattern is temporal consistency. Sightings, materials, and experiences have been documented across centuries. Ancient civilizations, observing the skies, aligned structures with stars, and recorded unusual phenomena seem to echo the behaviors we observe today. The continuity suggests a patient intelligence that has observed humanity across generations, allowing evidence to emerge gradually, perhaps in ways that nurture curiosity, respect, and observation. Imagine now standing quietly under the night sky, reflecting on all we've explored. The lights that glide silently above, the radar blips that appear and vanish, the intricate crop formations bending in the moonlight, the metals recovered from unknown crafts, the signals pulsing across the void, the accounts of missing time, and the courage of those who have risked everything to tell what they know. Slowly, as we weave these threads together, a single narrative emerges. We are part of a larger story, one that has unfolded around us quietly, deliberately, and with astonishing intelligence. It is a story of observation, of interaction, and of patient revelation. In the stillness of this realization, one begins to see the elegance in the pattern. The phenomena are not chaotic but structured, not hostile but deliberate, not accidental but precise. The events, witnesses, materials, and signals all point toward an intelligence that operates both in our perception and in the physical world, choosing moments carefully, revealing subtly, and always maintaining an air of mystery. It is a presence that encourages observation, reflection, and wonder, quietly inviting humanity to notice, to question, and to explore further. As we close this chapter, it becomes evident that when all evidence is viewed together, a profound, coherent, and undeniable pattern emerges. It suggests an intelligence that has observed, interacted, and left evidence across space and time in ways that challenge human understanding, yet remain perceptible to those who watch carefully. The story is far from complete. Each new observation adds detail, each witness adds depth, and each anomaly contributes to a vast, intricate tapestry of intelligence and mystery. It is a story that invites patience, reflection, and awe, a reminder that the universe is more intelligent, intricate, and alive than we often realize.